Hello friends, thank you so much for being here today. I have kind of a random little hodgepodge of some makeup that I wanted to share some reviews on, so I thought let's do a bite-sized review video. 5 reviews in one video. So the first couple of things are kind of related. I have a concealer sponge from Real Techniques and I have the Tower 28 concealer. This is called the Swipe Serum Concealer. They say it has medium buildable coverage with a natural finish and it's safe for sensitive skin, vegan, and cruelty-free. I think it is extremely user-friendly. I like the consistency. It's very thin and lightweight. I think buildable medium coverage is a really accurate description for this one, and I put it on today on top of a lighter coverage complexion product. I wanted to pair it with the Tower 28 Sunny Days. This is their tinted moisturizer. It has SPF 30 in it, and this gives a really light coverage on the skin. And I think the amount of coverage you see out of this, or like your takeaway on this coverage-wise, really depends on the product you're putting underneath. Like if you're choosing a medium to full coverage foundation and then using this concealer, I think your takeaway is going to be that it's more of a practically full coverage product. But when you're topping off something really, really light where pretty much all the coverage responsibility lies on the concealer, you might notice how it's a little bit lighter than say an e.l.f. Camo concealer or a Tarte Shape Tape, okay? So when I applied it, and I'll get into more specifics about the sponge you see in a couple minutes, but I swiped this on and I probably used just a little more than I might use of a really full coverage concealer. But swiped it on, it has that lightweight feel, and then I used my e.l.f. Duo Complexion brush just to swipe it out and make those dots take up a little more surface area because I knew I was going in with that sponge and I didn't want the sponge to kind of eat up the dots. So I really think this is a great way to get the most coverage out of any concealer. Then I came in with my sponge and just dabbed it in, dabbed over it. And I felt like it was really looking kind of dewy and luminous. It meshed right in with the texture of the tinted moisturizer and practically looked like I didn't even have concealer on. Now, don't get me wrong, it is covering. I do feel it's giving me that medium buildable coverage, but like as far as looking at the surface of my skin, there was no look of thickness or a real apparent product there. So if that's the kind of concealer you're in the ballpark for, you might like that. If you have really sensitive skin too, I know Tower 28 is like an Eczema Association approved brand, but I just got that all blended in and I felt like I was getting lighter coverage than my fuller coverage concealers. Just pointing that out there, I could still see some sort of shadows on my under eye that I might not see if I used something that was a little fuller coverage. But once I set it with some powder, I think it really took things up a notch. I used my Maybelline Fit Me loose powder and I just like patted it on with my triangle powder puff and then dusted away any excess. And I feel like I'm nearly at the place where I would be with a lot of products. Like just sitting here talking to you, seeing myself in the monitor, I think, wow, it actually looks really refreshed, really nice, not heavy at all. I think this is totally a concealer I'm going to want to have in the rotation, keep using with frequency. Sometimes you have to stop and think, do I want or need the fullest coverage option that's out there? And if you feel like you can get away with something a little lighter, that's great. Like I said, if I'm being super picky, I would take a little extra coverage, like maybe on the under eye area here. I feel like I could make that look more flawless with some other options, but yet this does look very, very natural, and I like that. And I like the thought that it survives a day of wear and doesn't really change its look. That's not always something you can rely on with the thicker products, but yeah, these two things working together today, I think it's a really pretty base look. Now, let's talk about this little sponge here. This is a Real Techniques concealer sponge. I'm grabbing out my packaging so I can see here. It's called the Miracle Concealer Sponge, and this has been saturated, okay? It's been dampened, so it's grown a little bit in size. It was slightly smaller than this, and I've used this a few times, so when you see it in the demo, it looks a little bit dirty, but it's nice and soft, super duper squishy, the same texture you know and love from the standard Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge, but you know, it's skinnier, it's smaller, and your point stays more narrow, so it really does fit the under eye area nicely, and then you still have this flat plane on this other side, which can be nice for, you know, dabbing over what you just did, or maybe if you're one who likes to apply powder with a sponge, you could bake and use it that way if you wanted to. I think this is a very good size because frankly, I could see this being awesome for just applying foundation too, and just having a bit more control with it. It's not all that much smaller than a beauty blender, but blending in certain foundations with my brush and then taking this and just hitting pinpointed areas where I really want to make sure, you know, those around the nose, inner corner of the eye areas where you're like, okay, it's going to be telling if these areas aren't blended enough, so you can kind kind of like additionally go over those spots. Really nice for just hitting those smaller surface areas. I think it's awesome. I enjoy it. I will continue to use this quite a bit. If you're touching up midday and the sponge is still slightly damp, I could see this as being a great like concealer refresher type of step. I've talked about that with the like the little mini beauty blenders, mini Real Techniques sponges as well. They're great for going over your concealer later in the day. It brings things back to life if it started to look cakey. I will definitely be pulling this in on a regular basis. I love it. Next thing we're going to address is a new mascara from Benefit. This is called Fan Fest. The packaging is really cool. Like as you twist the tube, it's going like optical illusion style there on the cap and the top of the tube. But here we have a traditional brush mascara from Benefit. It is curved slightly. It tapers a little bit toward the tip. Right out of the tube, what I'm seeing also is a ton of product on there. And sometimes I like that in a mascara. Some brushes really benefit from being a bit more loaded up with product. This one, I will say it's been a bit of a struggle out of the gate here. This is one where I'm gonna give it like, I don't know, a 25% chance of getting better for me. As I continue to have it on hand and it gets a little older, like I may have better luck, but this brush comes out so loaded up. It really wants to immediately load up my lashes a bit too much. The very first time I used it, I remembered thinking, gosh, all my lashes are chunking together. I'm not looking like I have a great big fan of lashes. I look like I've just got a lot of teams of lashes because this brush is just so heavy with product. And as time has gone on here, we're talking like, I don't know, a week and a half of age on this thing. I feel like it's gotten a little bit better. I think as you can see on the application, it's building some thickness, but again, it could be better on separation. It lengthens out well, but it just wants to put a lot of product on your lashes, and I feel like you have to be kind of guarded as you apply. You know, you have to really try to keep all your lashes from sticking together and keep just generally clumps from happening, especially if you're one who likes to keep going back with another coat or two. A second coat, a third coat can be overly clumpy with this. It can quickly become way too much. So I guess my best advice for application is like watch yourself, apply carefully, because it can really look clumpy. And now what I'm seeing with my lashes, I've had it on, you know, for probably over a half hour at this point, and I can just see the curl getting a little less, you know, pronounced as when I first curled it. And that does not shock me at all from a formula like this that is kind of heavy and is putting a lot of bulk on your lashes right away. So this is an average mascara for me. I feel like it can load up my lashes and make them look kind of big, but at the same time, I want to see a lot of lashes. There are some mascaras that really, like, you can apply them and you keep seeing a lot of lashes as you go, and it manages to not stick them all together. This brush, I think, is just slightly out of control with the product on it, and it's just harder to control as you go. And there'll be that temptation to keep, like, especially on this eye for me today, you're trying to go through it and almost undo some of the clumps. Like the purpose of still raking through is like, I want to clean this up a little bit. I want to get rid of some of the clumps, but you just kind of keep adding on because the brush is just so thick with product. And you might say, well, just swipe it around on the top of the tube. I don't like to do that. And I don't think in this day and age, we should really have to. I mean, there are so many mascaras that you pull them out of the tube and maybe you have to remove a little bit from the tip, but that tube should be taking care of a lot of the excess. There's a chance that with time, this mascara gets a little bit better as more of it gets used up. But right now I see, like, from a distance, a sort of big lash look, but I'm not super duper satisfied with it. And I don't love the curl holding either, which is really important to me. One of my favorite things currently that I've been using a lot from the drugstore is this L'Oreal Voluminous Superstar Red Carpet Black. It's got the primer coat, but I swear the primer coat seems different from the Voluminous Solo Primer, and it holds my curl in there better. And then put that top coat on, I'm really liking the effect of that. FanFest is just getting kind of a so-so rating for me. Let's talk about some tinted lip oil products here. These are from Milani and the line is called Fruit Fetish, and they put out a line of some very transparent looking glossy lip oils a while back, and now they have this nudes collection and they seem a bit more creamy. They're still sheer lip products, but I feel like they're creamier and maybe have a little more pigment in in them. So I picked up a couple of shades. I ordered them from Ulta. I've been wearing one of them all video long. This one that I'm wearing is called Lychee Nectar, and it's a very like My Lips but better gloss. We'll see that in a second, but first I'm going to talk about Blackberry Agave. That's the first one I did in my try on, and this is the little bit deeper one of the two and a little bit more opaque. I feel like I see some warmth in this product, kind of brownish. I do think it looks really pretty on its own, and these smell so good. Really fruity, but kind of a unique, like rich berry fruitiness. I really like it. I think these would look amazing on top of a fully lined lip and filled in lip. Like take your Revlon Color Stay lip liner in nude, use that as your base, and then pop these on top. They're comfortable. They're a good, pleasant consistency where I think, okay, there's thickness there, there's enough thickness to hang on, but not too much stickiness to make me constantly be thinking about what's on my lips. You know, I don't like that feeling. There's a very fine line for me. I really like this Blackberry Agave shade, and of the two that I have, that would be probably the one I'd be most content to wear on its own. But this Lychee Nectar is definitely, the moment I put it on my lips, I think that's looking just like my natural lip color with that sort of mauviness, just a lot shinier, of course. The scent on that is really good. I don't really know what lychee smells like, but this is different from the other one and still like really good, pleasant, not knocking you over with scent, but just a really nice scent. It just has a little more coolness, a little more pinky tone in this one, and is just very much making my lips look like themselves, but a little more color and definitely more shine. As I've been wearing this throughout the video, you're just seeing that Lychee Nectar gloss on its own. And I think most of the time I would probably pair this one with a lip liner of some sort. Maybe a little bit of a pinky lip liner would look nice alongside this. I recently got a Dior Lip Glow Oil in Mahogany, and these I kind of feel like a little color maybe develops on the Dior ones as you wear them a bit. But if you compare them, you can see these Milani ones have a lot more pigment, and this is more of just a clear thing happening. Cool product. I will continue to wear those a lot. I like both of those shades. And I'm not sure how bite-sized this video is going to turn out to be. I feel like I've been going a long time. But the last thing is I got a new whipped shea butter body butter from Tree Hut. They have a limited edition scent called Sweet Cream. And I really wanted to try this because I feel like when I use my Tree Hut scrubs in the shower, they can leave behind some scent. They're very potent. I continue to smell them when I'm out of the shower, and I like them. And sometimes I wonder, like, okay, what should I put on top if I still have this lingering scent from the scrub that I've used? So this Sweet Cream seems like a really logical idea to pair with pretty much any body scrub that I might have just used. And I think they've re-released like a pumpkin spice type scent and something else in their scrubs. And this came out alongside it. I got a pumpkin spice flavor or scent like last year, definitely pairing it with this. Somehow to me it seems a little bit lighter and less potent than, like, let's say you got a vanilla perfume, you know? It's a little bit more airy and light than that. I love the consistency of the Tree Hut body butters though. I mean, we're talking nice and creamy, but not so thick and heavy that you really have to work to break them down into the skin. They feel like a fluffy lotion, if that makes any sense. But I really like the scent. It's light, and I think it will mesh in with any kind of scrub or any body product you use in the shower that you feel like gives you lingering scent when you walk out. This will just be that light addition that isn't going to interfere or seem weird on top of it. So guys, those are my 5 products that I wanted to share about. What was the #1 pick out of all these? I might have to go with the Real Techniques concealer sponge. I think this is a really handy size. I think it could also blend in foundation and just give you a little bit more controlled size with that. This is a big win for me. Thank you all so much for your time today, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.